What's going on, guys? Welcome to another tank video. I wanted to put this video together just to help any tanks out that are looking to do VSS hard mode. I would say that the chaining in of the Flame Atronach on the second boss, the fire boss Yolnahkriin, is probably the hardest thing that you're going to have to do as a main tank in VSS hard mode. It's not overly complicated, certainly not as hard as it seems at first. Once you get used to it really, and the pattern that is involved with it, it's fairly simple and very repetitive really in the end. So I just wanted to go through it, show how I do it, a few tips and tricks, a few things to look out for, and hopefully this will help some of you guys go ahead and achieve this boss. As always, if you find the video useful, please do leave a like on the video and please consider subscribing to the channel as well. Thank you. So every time we start the fight with the dragon on the ground, he's going to follow the same pattern every time. So first of all, he'll do a heavy attack, so you step generally to the left so that he places the AoE near his wing, and that gives you enough space to play with. Following the heavy attack, he's going to do a breath, so make sure that you're fully buffed up for that, and after the breath, that's when he's going to start spawning in the atros. So at this point, make sure you put down all of your AoEs, make sure you buff yourself, especially with your major and minor resolve. Because when you go under the dragon, you're probably not going to be applying many of the skills for a few seconds and you'll get a lot of downtime on them. So replace them at this point. You'll see him roar out, and then at that point we'll turn around and I generally look to the other side of the arena where he spawns one of the Flame Atronachs. One will be over at the other side of the arena where I'm looking now, and the other one will be almost kind of directly behind you. So I'll throw a ranged taunt at that one, and then a ranged taunt at the one right behind me, and then right before I go under the dragon I'll reapply a taunt to it one more time, and this is so that the taunt doesn't run out while I'm under there. When you're under there you're not necessarily always thinking about that, so it's definitely worth reapplying the taunt right before you go under the dragon. Once you've done that, you want to roll dodge under. If you don't roll dodge and you walk too close to him as he does an attack on you, he will head swipe you and knock you back, and then you're going to have to walk towards him again. So always try and roll dodge to get under the dragon. You want to aim for right between his back legs, as far back as you can. If you do it too far forwards, when the Flame Atronachs die and they leave their lava on the ground, it's going to go too close to your DDs. So you want to make sure you're nice and far back, and then you want to start looking towards the Flame Atronachs. Now, it's much easier doing this in first person. It's not that natural to play in first person, it doesn't feel it, unless you are someone who plays in first person, which I don't think many do. But when you go under the dragon, you are going to want to go into first person. It's going to make it much easier to target those Flame Atronachs that you're chaining in. So then look towards the one that you taunted first, which will be basically directly under the dragon's head, which is the one I'm looking at now. Make sure you're looking kind of as close as you can to him, and then use your Silver Leash if you're on basically any other class than a Dragonknight, and if you are on a Dragonknight then use your Unrelenting grip to pull the atro to you. And whilst it may not seem important, the style of your shield is going to play quite a significant role on this. So I'm using the Gloambound style, which is a one you could buy for crowns basically, and it's invisible, so it's extremely easy to see the atros through it. It's completely transparent, whereas if you're using a very sort of opaque shield style, then you probably won't be able to see the atros that easily. But just know that the first one is directly under their head. So look towards him, pull him in, and then look to the other one on the right and do the same. And at that point I come out of first person, I can see what's going on again, and then I will roll dodge back out from the dragon. Then he's going to do a breath or sometimes a heavy attack straight after. The heavy attack will follow the breath, so again step to the side, place it down, and then go back to the spot that you're in, and then we're going to get to 75, and that's the end of the first phase. The rest of the fight is literally just rinse and repeat. We're doing exactly what we did there 4 times. If you've got the damage on the last phase, you don't necessarily need to chain under the Flame Atronach, you can have the off tank just chain them to the back while the rest of the group finish the boss. In this particular case, I am going to chain it in on all 4 phases. So again, heavy attack, sidestep it, then the breath is going to come next. It will look at me in a funny way, in comes the breath, and just block that damage. And now reapply your buffs one more time, because he's now going to spawn them straight after. So I look over to the far side of the arena. Now it's worth also pointing out, while you're while you're taunting the atros at this point, the boss is going to do a heavy attack. As you can see on my screen, it says hold L2 to block. So you want to make sure that you are block casting these range taunts. So hold block and then press your taunts while blocking. If you don't, you'll probably get one shot by the dragon's heavy attack. So again, throw your 2 taunts, taunt the dragon and roll dodge underneath it, right at the back between his legs. If you go too far to the left or right while you're in this position, he can wing slap you, so be very careful. Make sure that you don't go either side of his feet. And then chain them in, and then roll dodge back out, and reapply your buffs again. And then it's literally just the same thing 2 more times, and that's how you do it. So yeah, that's it really. Just make sure that you reapply your buffs before you chain them. You know that they're coming after the breath. So as soon as he's done that, reapply all your debuffs and your buffs on yourself. Turn around, throw your 2 range taunts at the 2 atros. One will be over the other side of the room, one will be right behind you. Then turn back to the dragon and taunt it before rolling under, going into first person, and then chaining in the adds using your Silver Leash or Unrelenting grip if you're on a Dragonknight. A couple of last things just to point out. Sometimes 2 atros will not spawn and you'll only get 1. Don't know why this happens. I don't know if it's a bug, but it probably is. If that happens, just make sure that you taunt the 1 atro and chain it under. It's, if anything, easier because you only have 1 to do, but it can throw you off a little bit. So just be aware that that can happen. You can also have it where the atro that spawns over the far side actually spawns in the middle of the room. So you have 1 in the middle and 1 immediately behind you, instead of what we're seeing here where you have 1 over the other side of the room and 1 directly behind you. So again, just be aware of that. In terms of where you chain them from, shouldn't change too much because the one at the far side of the room typically makes its way to the middle after you taunt it anyway. So your chaining position should be pretty much the same. And yeah, that's everything, guys. So thank you for watching. Again, if it's been useful, please do leave a like on the video and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.